Okay, for this one we're asked to factor 18v squared minus 33vb plus 14b squared. So we would first look to see if there's anything in common with the three terms that we could factor out. Once I realize that there's not, I look at my leading coefficient, which is an 18, and when it's not a leading coefficient of a 1, that means we're going to probably want to use the guess and check method, even though sometimes that can take a long time. Sometimes it's just the fastest way, and it can be tedious, but that's kind of what we have to do. So I like to think of it as the unfoiling method. So with it being a trinomial, it'll probably factor into two sets of parentheses. There's kind of 4 spots to fill, so sometimes I write little blank spots, so I remember that I need to fill in 4 spots. The first times the first needs to give me the 18v squared. So I've written down here some factors of 18 that I can try. I can try 18 and 1, 9 and 2, 6 and 3, and that's where it gets kind of tedious, is if you try the wrong one and it doesn't work, you got to go back and try something else if it doesn't work. I usually don't pick the extremes, 18 and 1. Sometimes I usually pick something like 9 and 2 or 6 and 3. So let's say I picked a 9 and a 2. 9 and 2 would give me 18. I'll put a v and a v here. Now, the last times the last in the foiling process, that needs to give me the 14b squared. So the only factors of 14 are 14 and 1 and 7 and 2. So let's say I tried a 7 and a 2. 7b and 2b. Now I need to check my insides and my outsides. That'd be the O and the I from the word foil, and see if they add up to this negative 33vb. Well, I'd have 14vb and an 18. And no matter where I put my signs, plus or minus, a 14 and an 18 are not going to add up to 33vb. So that means that either I picked the wrong numbers or they might be in the wrong order. So I might need to switch these. Let's say I switch the 7b and the 2b around. Put the 2b here and the 7b here. Well, that would give me a 4vb and a 63vb, and that also is not going to give me the middle term. So that means I must have picked something wrong, and that's where this can get kind of tricky. So I'm going to back up. Instead of a 9 and a 2v, I'm now going to try maybe a 6 and a 3. So I'm going to try a 6v and a 3v. Now I know that again is going to give me my 18v squared. I got my 14b squared. But when I check my insides and outsides now, I'm going to have a 42 and a 6. And a 42 and a 6 are not going to give me a 33. So that doesn't mean I have the wrong numbers. Again, they might just be in the wrong order. So let me switch around. I could either switch around my 2b and 7b or my 3v and 6v, but let's switch these just so that they're paired with a different term here. Let's see if it works, because every time you switch it, it changes what the output's going to be when you multiply them. So we got the 7b and the 2b here. Now let's try the insides and outsides. This time we have 21 VB and we have 12 VB. Now that will give me a 33 VB, 21 and 12. If I put my signs correct, I can put a negative and a negative here. You might want to check one last time all the parts of your foiling, F-O-I-L. Make sure you get back to where you started. We'd have the 18v squared from the first two terms. We'd have the last two terms, would give us the last two terms of this one's. We'd have the positive 14b squared, and then the insides and outsides would give us the negative 33vb. So it turns out that would be our correct factorization. Now there is one other way, other than the guess and check method, even though this method also involves some work. I'm going to move it over here and show you what I did. To kind of narrow down your options, you can multiply the first factor with your last factor, 18 and 14. Those are kind of big numbers, so when you multiply them we get 252. Now I've kind of already done the work for you here. This is where the hard part would be. You'd have to figure out what two factors of 252 could add up to be negative 33. So I found that 21 and 12 add up to be negative 33. So I split negative 33 VB into negative 21 VB minus 12 VB in the original polynomial. And then I factored by grouping. So this first group of 2 I factored out. You can't see that here. Let's see, I factored out a 3. And then this second group of 2 I factored out a 3v from this first. Second group I factored out a negative 2b, then by factoring by grouping I came up with the same answer. So that's another method.